Why are different things different colors? So this lesson is all about light and color and why some things are certain colors and why other things are different colors. And before we can understand that, we have to understand what is color, what is light, visible light. So white light, the visible spectrum, white light, appears white, but it actually contains all of the colors. And if those colors could be separated, then we would see all the different colors of light. And so here we see a prism and the light goes through and it bends, which we'll talk about later, and that causes all these different colors. And so here's what it's actually looking like. If you're shooting white light at a prism, that prism is going to bend all the different colors slightly different ways and separate out the different colors. And if you remember in the electromagnetic spectrum, we said that red had the longest wavelengths, and then orange would be a little bit shorter, a little bit shorter. So the energy is increasing from red to orange to yellow to green to blue, purple to violet. And so in your guys' notes, you can pause the video and you can color in your visible spectrum and make sure they're in the right order. And so red will always be on the top. So here again, there's a very high energy, very high frequency, violet or purple light. And then as we go down, the wavelength is getting longer, the frequency is getting less, they're less frequent, and there's less energy. And so we would say like yellow has more energy than red and orange, but it has less energy than green and blue and purple and indigo. So absorbed or transmitted, okay, we gotta move on to this, but you probably have noticed that some materials, I'm trying to move me out of the way for you guys, some materials can transfer, light goes through it completely. Some materials light kind of goes through, but not all the way. And then some materials light doesn't pass through at all. And so something like this water bottle, I can look through and I can see you guys. So that would be what we call transparent material. Light passes through it. Translucent would be like, I have this box here. You guys can see there's rocks in this box, but you can't completely see through. It's not like glass. And so this would be translucent. Some light passes through. And then I have this box, which you can't see me at all. It's because it's opaque. So that's how you say that, opaque. So no light passes through. So we have to understand that some things are transparent, some are translucent, some are opaque. And depending on what those materials are, light can go through, or it's absorbed, or it's transmitted. And that's what we're talking about next. So light can do one of three different things when it hits an object. Light can be reflected. And so here there's light. It hits a surface, it bounces off. That is reflection. It can be absorbed, meaning it goes into the material, doesn't come out, or it can be transmitted, it goes through material. And if it's transmitted, some things can happen to change it, but it still is going through it. And you probably remember some of this stuff when we talk about sound waves. So sound waves can be reflected, they can be absorbed, they can be transmitted. And so light can also, but it has some different ways that it does this. So absorption is light energy is taken in by a surface and not released. I should say not released. So please correct that. Not released. I'm going to fix it on the slide. So light goes in, doesn't come back out. Then reflection is when light bounces off of a surface. So light is going to hit a surface and bounce off. That's what reflection is. And so it's not released. Okay, so opaque objects. So let's say we have an apple. What happens is that light, white light, hits the apple, and all of the colors in the visible spectrum are absorbed. But the red light bounces off, and it hits your eye. So that's why we see things as red. That's why this is purple, is because there's materials that make it up, and these pigments reflect purple or blue light to my eyes. So this cup would be absorbing I don't know if it's purple or blue, but it's absorbing green and yellow and orange and red light, and it's reflecting off the blue, and that's what I see. So then you should ask, well, why is this blue and not yellow? Well, it's made of different molecules, and those molecules, just depending on their shape and their structure, they will reflect or absorb different light just based on their chemical structure, which is a lot more complicated than we need to know. And so here's another example. This is what's in your book. And so here we have a leaf, and the leaf is absorbing all of those colors except green. So it is absorbing red, orange, yellow, green, not green, red, orange, yellow, purple, indigo, whatever. And it's reflecting, right? The green is reflecting off of the leaf and into my eye. And that's a whole nother process of how the eye interprets it and how our brain interprets it. But this at least shows you how we see color.